Well, so my guest for the morning, Emmanuel Chemanting Ejako, is a member of parliament for Ayawaso West Wagon. He's in the studio alongside Abraham Amaliba, a member of the NDC's legal team, a legal practitioner, and a law teacher. Okay.
I thought you said attempted.
No, that one, we'll try. That one is not, we don't want to be adding it to the CV. It's not.
Attempted.
No. You know, we're campaigning for him to be, he's a very good material.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
he's
so
my very good friend.
So, you know, because of party politics, sometimes they gloss over some of these good people. So, but the president convened a press conference. We have some of the highlights there. Would want to play a couple of them. And when we get them to your screens, would also want to have an assessment from our panelists this morning, and Fred is already ready to play us an insert or two, and then we'll get back into the studio and do a lot more analysis of all that he said as a general observation, and then we'll pick the issues, and then we'll look at a critical issue that he also talked about.
Dumso, as it's called in Ghana, but the actual name is load management. When demand exceeds supply, you have a gap, and so you need to manage the load so that you don't break down the system. And it's an issue that we have faced perennially. We are as close as we are to solving the problem of Dumso. And I'm sure that for most people, from the Christmas time, you can see a very visible improvement in terms of supply. Now, a lot of the time when there's an outage, when your lights go off, it's normally because of an outage or something like that. We still have a gap. We haven't closed the gap. But I believe that in the next, touch wood, let me not predict. In the next short while, we will be able to overcome the problem of load shedding. I've learned to leave it to the technical people to talk about, and they're having a major press briefing tomorrow. They're going to brief the press on the routine maintenance a trouble plant is going to go through. It is a scheduled maintenance, and so it means gas is going to stop flowing. So they have to retune the plants there to crude oil. And normally when the plants use crude oil, they are not as efficient, and so there can be any difficulty that arises. And so we just want Ghanaians to understand that this is what is going to happen. And I'm sure when they do that address, they will also tell you where we are currently in respect of resolving the power crisis permanently. The detainees question was a direct request from the United States of America to my government. We have been allies with the United States for a very long time. It didn't start today. We have partnered in a lot of things, and we continue to collaborate in areas of security, in areas of training with our armed forces, in areas of defense. And so when we received a request like this, we said we will appraise it, and based on the appraisal, we will take a decision. Extensive consultation was held both internally and externally. A risk assessment was done by the US itself, and these two detainees, Al-Dubi and Benatef, were considered to be the most compliant detainees in Guantanamo camp. And they were put in the lowest risk category in Guantanamo. And let me be clear, people say ex-convicts. They were never tried, they were never charged, they were never convicted. These were 20-year-old boys. At the time they were picked up, they were 20 years old. And I can imagine my own son, who is 20 years old, you know, and the state at which he is. They were picked up, they were taken to Guantanamo, they were interrogated, you know, and investigated, and there was no evidence with which they could be tried or charged. As Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, the safety and security of this country is of the greatest concern to me, probably than any Ghanaian. I will not take any decision that would jeopardize the safety and security of this country. We must also look at the side of compassion. You know, I'm a Christian, And in the Bible, it teaches us to be compassionate to prisoners. That is, even persons who have been convicted. These people were not convicted. And so, where is our Christian passion? Or where is our faith-based compassion on people that, after being detained for 14 years without trial, we can't find it in our hearts, you know, to give these people at least a chance to restart their lives. And so there's been no consideration received for accepting these detainees. And as the Commander-in-Chief of Ghana Armed Forces, I have assessed the risk. Our National Security Council briefed me. We have had several sessions with the Americans. People went to Guantanamo and personally interviewed these people. And I believe that we don't, our security is not endangered because they are in our country.
I'm a president there, and over 20 to almost 30 questions were asked the president by various media men and women. And I should say many of the questions very good though. And your own assessment, Abraham.
Let me say good morning to your viewers. You notice that the format this time has changed. Previously, you have a president who will come and address the media. Based on what he has said, the media will now ask questions. This time around, he came saying that, look, you are in touch with the people, you know the concerns of the people, just ask the questions and I'll deliver. So you notice that there was a marked change in the format. Secondly, this is a president who was able to stand and deliver for 3 hours. It surely tells you how fit he is. And so you also look at the nature of his answers. They were honest, concise, and truthful in areas that he thought that he should let the people know the truth of the matter. He said it. Now, there were other things that we were not privy to, some information. This time around, we had some information on them. For instance, where the detainees were kept. And he made it a point that the detainees were kept in a national security facility. You notice that when I was here last week, you asked me the question, where are they being kept? I couldn't tell you. And none of the communicators could even pinpoint which house they were. The president was able to tell us that these detainees were not just left to stay anywhere, but they were in a facility manned by the national security guards, and wherever they were going, I mean the detainees were going, they were accompanied by national security. So for me, it allayed the fears that people had that these people were let loose and that they could go anywhere without surveillance. That for me was reassuring and gratifying. So in general, the president delivered his answers well. You just have to sample the views of people on the radio stations. They gave him thumbs up, and the fact that he also answered the questions in a candid way, for me, was a plus.
Very interesting. Your own description of the whole event yesterday.
Thank you for having me on this platform. Good morning to viewers, and Happy New Year. I haven't been, this is my first outing in this year. I wish everybody that listens to us, that watches and listens to us, a very good year. I must admit that I didn't watch. I listened, but I couldn't listen to the whole program. I was going in and out. I listened to parts of it, and I think that I noticed that it was like ask me questions and let me answer. My considered view is that this is my considered view. I'm not part of the planning. I'm only an outsider conjecturing. Is that it was obvious that there were very pressing issues. This Guantanamo Bay prisoner saga has become topical, and I want to believe that the president wanted to find a way to, as it were, speak to Ghanaians about it. There have been phenomenal increases in in cost of utilities and fuel over the last 1 month. And I want to believe that, again, the president wanted an opportunity to speak about it. So I am, again, informed that it was only on Sunday, last Sunday, that the issue of this press conference came up. So there are burning issues in this country. Proverbial Rome is burning, and there was a need to speak to the issues that he spoke to. As to whether they were truthful, as to whether they were candid, as to whether the answers given were appropriate, it is a determination all of us have to make. I didn't think that the answers were candid. Some of the answers, for me, the answers for me, the two most important things that I think concerns Ghanaians, number one, is how we find these two young men here and the circumstances under which they are here. I didn't think that His Excellency the President was candid. I think the answers were, he completely parried it, knowing the religious sentiments of the good people of this country. For me, it was a big diversion and appealing to
Christian sentiments.
Christian sentiments.
Or religious sentiments.
Religious sentiments. He is a Christian, so he says he's a.
But
secondly, on the issue of the taxes.
We'll don't talk about. We'll come and talk. We'll come talk. But I just wanted to raise the issue before I go to Abraham on the subject of the GITMO rejects.
Yeah.
If as a country, as a continent, we'll accept, let's say, bailout, or even if not bailout, loans or facilities or credit from the U.S., initiatives like AGOA from the U.S., military kind of cooperation between the two, why not accept prisoners they don't want in their country?
Well, but that's the whole question. Why not accept they don't want?
Well, because I'm asking, they don't want because the Senate and even the state of South Carolina, the governor had come out clearly to state that they had voted against it.
Yeah. So if they don't want, why us? I mean, what do they know that we do not know?
But you do agree America has a lot more potential people like that in their country than we do.
Yeah. So what will another tool? What difference will it make? You know. Sometimes I think that all of us as Ghanaians must sit back and ask, if we reverse the roles, if this had happened, if my party was in power, what would the NDC have said? You know, persistently, it has been convenient for the NDC to paint my party and my tradition as the luckies of America. They have accused us of all sorts of things. We are the ones that will condone and connive with CIA to.
But that's in the past. The world order has changed, hasn't it?
Well,
the geopolitics, the geopolitical terrain of the time. The Cold War is over.
They say that the more things change, the more they remain the same. They say that the more things change, the more they remain the same.
Well, not literally.
It depends on where you are looking at it from. But I am saying that, can you imagine what would have happened to this country? What would have happened in this country if it was an MPP government that decided to use His Excellency the President's word, to have compassion on the rejects of America? Can you imagine what would have happened? What these so-called social democrats would have said about us?
So it's almost like you're retaliating in
No. The point I am making is that I am surprised. And His Excellency the President maintains that, oh, it's out of nothing. This morning I was on another program with a man says he's not NDC, but he's only a sympathizer. And he made categorical statements that, do you want us to reject them so that the Compact 2 will not come? Do you want us to reject them so that our good relationships with America will not continue? Look, there are close to 200 countries in this world. Some of them have better relations with America than us. But they didn't take.
But we have, apart from us, some 52 other countries that also
Yeah,
have taken
but
in their stead some of these regions.
So you ask,
are we better than those countries?
Are we better than those countries? Are we worse off than those countries? Let me say that for me, I think that the sentiment that is expressed, after all, the sentiment that is expressed by the ordinary Ghanaian is one of uncertainty, is one of anxiety, is one of, have we done the right thing? After all, in that announcement, the minister said that 2 people have come from Rwanda. Have you heard anybody complain about it? The minister went on to say that there are some refugees who are coming from Syria, war-torn Syria. He didn't tell us how many, where they are coming from, under what circumstances they were coming. Recently, about 1 million Syrians or from that region have found themselves in Europe. Okay, issues of suitability. Are we sure that some terrorists are not mixing up with them? Have been raised. Recently in Cologne, there were some unsightly things that happened, and it is attributed to some of these people. Okay. Justifiably, people must raise these issues. But even then, nobody is talking about the Syrians. But these are people who, and for me, the reports are conflicting. When you read some documents from America, they are saying that they are trained Al-Qaeda or Taliban operatives. Then they'll tell you, oh, they are low-level operatives, trained or untrained. They come here. You think people should not ask? People should not be concerned? And His Excellency the President is only saying that we must be compassionate. Yes, we must be compassionate. But compassion must come with common sense. I completely agree with the position taken by the Catholic bishops.
Okay.
We must be compassionate on people that have Ebola. But it doesn't mean that we must just go and embrace them and hold them, because in doing that,
you put yourself at risk.
You put yourself at risk.
And you equate it to the same situation.
Absolutely.
All right, you've made your point.
Because there is a certain amount of, the president himself said that they had done some risk assessment. There is a certain amount of risk.
I see.
Nobody
I see, Abraham, you're just observing him. You think he's just ranting? It's a serious thing.
It appears
he's holding an opinion for which observing, if you should conduct just a general observational poll, you would know the majority of Ghanaians also tend to hold.
I'm sure if people did not have their minds tainted with other considerations, after the president had explained yesterday...
What tainted means what?
Tainted means that if you don't have any ulterior motive, apart from just the safety of this country, if your interest is the safety of this country, the president's explanation put matters to rest.
Really?
Now, I am telling you, let me tell you something. Those people are safer to this country, or Ghana is safer with those people, the 2 detainees, than you and me.
What do you mean by that?
Because they are in national security compound. Are you in national security compound? Do we know what you can do next after you go out here?
But the fact that we've taken them in...
No.
The observation is...
These are people who are in national security compound. They sit with national security. They eat with national security. When they are moving out to Dansoma, they are with national security. Are you with that kind of security? Are you being observed that way?
Well, I don't have that sort of security, but that's not a justification for which we need to have...
No, I'm coming. Now, people go about burning markets.
Suspected terrorists.
People go about burning markets.
Who have been incarcerated for 40 years in our
People go about burning markets. These are our own people doing that. I am saying that unless you have an ulterior motive, the explanation given by the president yesterday was enough to assure these people, the people of this country. I am shocked. I'm a Catholic. I'm shocked at my Catholic bishops. Because, indeed, I'm sure that Pope John Paul would be turning in his grave
It's something. It's something we can't verify. It's very hypothetical.
I am saying that yes.
But don't you think?
Don't
you think the Catholic bishop? Don't you think the Catholic bishops represent a certain constituency? And albeit Catholics in this country are in their thousands, if not millions.
Pope John Paul, the late Pope John Paul, was shot by an assassin.
Yes, a terrorist.
A terrorist.
Turkish assassin.
Not even a detainee, a suspect, but a terrorist. He visited him in the prisons and forgave him his sins. These are suspects. These are people who have not been found guilty. Between myself and you, let's be frank. If the Americans had evidence to show that these people were terrorists, would the federal state of America allow them to go? So, we are a member of the international community. We have responsibilities. If you are a member of the men's fellowship in your church, you have responsibilities towards the association. We have been called upon to assist in times of international crisis. We assist international crisis and security. We assist based on our resources and our capacity.
So you're saying we're just playing our role as part of the International Committee of Nations. We do understand
we
that.
have assessed the security risk of these people.
We've had the head of research of the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, security expert, Dr. Ainin, as well as Dr. Vladimir Tridanso of Lesia, coming out to say these people, even though they've been debriefed, they may have been incarcerated for 14 years, may come out and be saying all the things. They've gone through training that enables them to pretend as if everything is all right, whilst whatever intentions they have is in their minds. And there are also concerns that you could even incur the wrath of the wider group of Al-Qaeda just because you have decided to become a known close ally of the United States to the point that you even want to harbor or perhaps also keep in custody or in some level of accommodation or habitation people they have incarcerated of their ilk.
I'm not sure these people that you've mentioned were part of the national security apparatus that dialogue.
No, they
were not. Good.
I've told you
so because they were not part, they are not also privy to some information that led the government
to take
wider
knowledge and have worked
and I'm saying that you can have wider knowledge.
Security.
I'm a lawyer. I may have information about what the law says, but if I'm not part of a transaction, a contract between Joy FM and City FM, I cannot be an expert in that contract.
True.
So I'm saying that if they were part of the negotiation or the consultation that went before the people were brought here, I'm sure they will have a second view of this. See, you have young men, 20 years, who were picked up in a swoop, just like when you go to the beach side. Police people will say they are going to arrest weed smokers. They end up picking innocent people. This was how these people were arrested. They were not found in active combat, shooting, with bombs trapped in their body. They were not like that.
That has been clarified.
It has been clarified. These are people who want to pick their lives back. And these are people.
But we have information published by the Daily Mail of the UK that also that is it
Telegraph.
Yes, as well as even the Daily Mail of the UK.
Yes.
It's now been shared by the UK newspapers. That also gives the indication that these two gentlemen have been linked to the terrorist cell of the Taliban as well as Osama bin Laden. Now we know Osama bin Laden was harbored by the Taliban.
I don't know whether
extensively for a number of years. So how does it become a justification for us to say these are the positive reasons why we decided to take them?
Sometimes it's because I don't know what is my training. But police, when they swoop and pick people like that, they'll provide facts to include all of them. They will manufacture facts to include all of them. How do you hold somebody for 14 years if you don't have that kind of information?
Okay.
But as time went on, they noticed that there wasn't enough evidence to pin the people.
I do understand. I've been through such situations. And when later many of them, by representation of a lawyer, are left.
How would the police hold them if they don't provide such information that these are weed smokers when there are some people who are there just to witness nature?
Okay, as we conclude on this very subject, I want to say this will always become a thorny issue, but at some point we should also as a country know we also have a certain responsibility to the international community.
Absolutely,
And no
I
matter
agree.
what we do, the United States of America is the most powerful country in the world.
Yeah.
And once you have a very close relationship with that country, there are things that sometimes you can't just gloss over.
I think I have read, and I stand to be corrected if it is not so. I think I read in the media space that my good friend on my left had one time said that we were helping America to bury its shame. To take
No, we are righting the wrongs of the Americans by so doing.
Come on,
Yes,
come on,
yes.
Amaba.
And why
Come
should
on.
we? Why should we?
No, we
It's okay. It's not. You don't.
In any case,
we are
in
righting
any
the
case.
wrong.
Now,
They will not target us.
I am even more confused.
They won't target us.
So is it a situation where they are moving from one camp in Guantanamo Bay into another detention camp in
No,
Accra?
it's not a detention camp.
But the man is saying that
It's not.
they are in a camp
It
with
is
national
not.
security.
I guess they are
when
freer. They are freer.
When they
They
sit,
live with national security.
when they sit to eat, the national security is there. When they are going to Dansoman, the national security is there. So it is a transposition of a camp in Guantanamo Bay because President Obama has told himself, and he wants to be remembered as the president that stopped the exorcist that happened in Guantanamo Bay and closed Guantanamo Bay.
Can they visit the mall?
Amaba should answer.
Amaba
Amaba should answer. I am at a
They
complete.
can move about
Can they
freely.
visit the mall?
They can go anywhere,
Right.
but they will be monitored.
All right.
That's
the
what we are
president
saying.
also talked about why we had all these increments in taxes, and already he's been getting some flack. And Kuku Kwating, who is a member of parliament for Obuasi West, and has been saying that all the reasons the president gave, well, if I have to use a British term, is hogwash, so to speak, just doesn't work.
The president's favorite term is baloney, actually.
Yeah, baloney. I was wondering why yesterday he didn't use it though. But at the end of the day, the taxes have been imposed. Now the president says that if we are not in a position to do all this, then we'll be in a difficult situation or dire straits. He also said, and I believe it's part of all this, that he's been elected to take tough decisions. No? A decision that will always be endearing, because leaders really need to have guts. If you don't have guts, you're not a good leader.
The first question all of us as Ghanaians must ask is that how did we get here?
Oh, that's a refrain.
How did we get here? You know,
Why do you keep repeating that? You've said that severally.
What?
Taxes have been imposed, so why do you have to repeat that?
His Excellency the President is telling us that he is capable, he was elected to take tough decisions. I want to most respectfully tell His Excellency the President that if he had taken those hard decisions when he was chairman of the Cabinet Economic Committee, Economic Management Committee, if His Excellency the President had taken those hard decisions way back in 2009, we wouldn't have been here. His Excellency the President told us that we had to go to IMF for policy credibility. His Excellency the President and this NDC government has taken such poor decisions. Very, very, very poor decisions. And typical. Then he wants to say, oh, this matter has been happening over the last 15 years. Again, I want a government communication to provide the debt profile. He says that he has to take these decisions because the energy units owe a total of 4.5 billion Ghana cedis. So they can't go to the bank. His Excellency the President must provide the profile. In the last 15 years, I will dare say that 90% of that debt has come up in the last, since 2009. And indeed, most of it is not even debt. Most of it is just exchange losses. Most of it has been exchange losses because of a poor management of the currency regime. And today, all of us have to pay for it. Government has not paid electricity bills for all the ministries over all these years. And today, we must pay for it. We must, the easy option is to take the money indirectly on fuel. All of us have to pay money so that the electricity bill that has not been paid by government. When the price of crude was going up, government will tell everybody that, oh, we will absorb the difference. So the BDCs were doing under recoveries, and superimposed on those under recoveries were foreign exchange losses. Government, it is like going to your mother-in-law when you know you don't have, and say, I will do this for you, I'll do that for you, I have gone and borrowed money and bought a cloth for you. And then you are hit with a big debt, and now you are saying that your children or your wife must go and do something so that you will pay the debt.
But that's the debt. That's the reality of the situation.
I am saying that
if you find yourself in dire financial straits, you have to take.
This is the dichotomy.
You have to take a decision in real time, not in retrospective. And no matter
but
what.
Why didn't you take the decision in real time? Why did we allow? But that time has passed. We have to face reality. So I am saying that let His Excellency the President not tell us that he can take tough decisions. He didn't take the tough decisions at the appropriate time. It is like my area is health. When the fever was low grade, His Excellency the President as a doctor did not treat the fever when it is low grade. When the fever has become 40 and 41 degrees and the patient is about to die, then you are saying that you will take the drastic decisions. Come on, His Excellency the President.
A thorough washdown of what the President should have done.
There's
his
this
actions,
legacy debt that we have to deal with.
Which
is that over the years as a nation, when the utility services ask for increment, we don't give them the exact increment that they ask for. Our PURC will shoot it down to a certain level. Now, this does not afford the utility services to be able to deal with their challenges. Again, when there's increment in utility prices, then PURC will come again and absorb and tell government to absorb. Some of these monies don't actually go to pay. We've gotten to a point that the debts...
When you do a mop-up of them.
Yes, the debt is now crippling these utility services. I am sure he sitting here will not forgive President Mahama if under his watch we allow these utility services to crumble. So, tough decisions must be taken. We have decided to increase the levies so as to ensure that we are able to hold our utility services together so that they don't break down or they don't collapse. But if you look at the additions, it doesn't come, it's about 11% lower than what we used to pay when we hadn't deregulated. Point is that, do we want a situation where we have a collapsed utility services, or we want to have our utility services still providing? That is where we have gotten to. They are not in government, so they have the luxury to speak the way they are speaking.
Well, but they've been in government before.
We are in government.
That's the other thing. They've had hindsight of being in government before.
We see the danger ahead of us. We will do everything possible to keep this nation intact. But their duty is that they will criticize.
Abraham, do I get the thinking that you think the MPP, the other opposition parties, and indeed the various businessmen and women, the caucus of entrepreneurs and service providers, as well as even the academia and the general watchers of the economy who keep criticizing government for imposing taxes and perhaps not widening the tax nets enough and not being innovative in the management of the economy, you think all that they say is just pure criticism?
The world all over, there's no single country where if taxes are imposed, the people are happy. Nobody in this world is happy paying taxes. Nobody. So I can understand.
But that's not a justification to be
increasing. I can understand the frustration and the anger in people. But East Legon, I passed through his constituency before coming here. The asphalted roads, the roads that he drives and he doesn't hear any sound from his car. How did it come about?
Why do you want to personalize this?
How did it come about? Do we stop to notice that some of these taxes are what is used to develop our country.
I've heard this criticism from the opposition. They say every government builds roads.
Every
so
government builds roads. If the criticism comes, it is for the government communicators of that day to explain to the people. That's what we are doing. We would explain to the people for the people to understand us. We will criticize you if you are in government and you are also doing that. But it is your duty to let loose your communicators to explain. That's what we are explaining. Now, I am of the view that what we should be talking about is increase in salary. That I will go for. That once you increase the threshold of tax, you must Jojo, and I'm happy that government cushioning. I am happy that government is talking to labor, and very soon something will come out of there. But to say that you won't pay taxes or payment of taxes is wrong. How do we then mobilize resources? We are now a lower middle income country. We are no longer able to assess those loans that we used to assess at a construction.
So we have to get serious.
We would have to get serious and look inwardly and ensure that we are
because I remember for all friends who live in the UK, they tell me it's only hand to mouth they do. Of course, they have better shelter.
Exactly.
But they all have to use all the N to pay taxes.
Nobody is happy imposing taxes on people. Nobody is happy.
See,
that's not good justification for all the things.
Absolutely. I am saying, you see, he started off on the tangent. There are legacy debt. It is exactly what I was talking about here. How did we get here? And I'm saying that His Excellency the President, in an attempt to equalize, oh, the thing is not me, it has come. I am saying that let us get a profile of those debts. I would say again.
You're saying he should have taken decisions that he didn't take.
He should have taken those decisions when my
time is up. It's 8:46.
Respectfully, when the under recoveries were occurring, they were taking the credit. Oh, by the way, this government is good, pal. The price of petrol has gone up. Then
they say it's reduced.
Then President Atamils will come and say we will bear the rest.
If the MPP was in power, what decisions, and you were faced with the same problems? Let's say you say you say he took wrong decisions, and let's say the MPP had taken wrong decisions and were in this state. What would you have done?
We wouldn't have taken wrong decisions. Simply put,
all right.
You've not taken wrong decisions before.
My guest for the morning.
You came and raised a gallon of petrol.
Amaliba is a member of the NDC's legal and communication team.
We've come full cycle.
He's here in the studio, and thanks for joining me. Are you going to the court today?
No, today I'm not in court.
And we also have Member of Parliament for Iwasu West Wagon, and Emmanuel Chairman Tingeja is his name, a former CEO for the Food and Drugs Authority. We're taking a break. We'll be right back.